In this video, I'm going to go over a web browser known as the Ghostery web browser, also known as the Ghostery Private Browser. If you found the video on YouTube, I will provide a link below the video with a description and how you can install it on your system. Let's take a look at first what it is, then I'll show you how to install it on your Linux system, because I'm using Ubuntu Mate. Now, Ghostery Private Browser is a free web browser based on the Mozilla Firefox for Linux, Windows, Mac, Android, and iOS. The Ghostery browser blocks ads, trackers, and other pop-ups, and it's fully loaded with a built-in private search engine that decides and displays trackers before you even visit a web page. This is what it looks like after I had it set up and put the extensions on the browser. Now, it doesn't have the search engine here, but you can click to access its search engine, and it will save 5 of the most recent searches or most often searches here to where you can click on them to go to them instantly. Now, here are some of the features, and I'm not going to read all of those, but it does have a built-in tracker and ad blocker. That's one of the main features of it, and it does have its own search engine. Here's the Ghostery private search engine. It looks very similar to any search engine you use, so it does have a built-in search engine within the browser. Now, I know I'm not using the Ghostery here to illustrate it, but I will bring it up in just a few moments. And it's built for maximum security. Now, let me point out this little paragraph that I put here. I put, in the past, Ghostery made some controversial decisions based on its lack of transparency, and that was prior to 2016. They anonymized their data, which means they collected data, and they didn't put individual names. They anonymized it, and they did put it up for sale across the internet. That was very controversial. However, in 2017, Ghostery was acquired by a company called Click. You can click these links here to read more about when it was purchased by another company. And if you want to read more about the controversy that it had, you can click here and you can go down and read this little section right here where it says it collect ghost rank data, and it goes on to explain all that it accumulated, and it talks a little bit about how Mozilla went through something very similar and how it recuperated as well. But now it became open source, after 2017, after it was purchased by Click, and it became open source. So now this is the extension, and if you scroll down, you'll see other additional open source Ghostery products. So now Ghostery is open source, so that anyone that can read or write code can look through the code to make sure that there's nothing there to where it allows you to spy on it. If you read this little article here by All About Cookies, and it did a review this year, it did a great job. It did an overview. It talked about blocking and what their scores were. As you can see on the Chrome browser, it was a pretty decent score, pretty great score here, and same with Firefox, but with Safari it lacked some features in Safari. So you can read all of this yourself, and there's the pros and cons, and I'm not going to list all of that. Now, one con where it talks about this one right here, that might be considered a pro for the individual user and not the individual people that creates YouTube videos and monetizes their videos on YouTube. Now, Ghostery is now trusted by universities all across the United States and the rest of the world. Winona State University uses the Ghostery products. Also, the University of Chapel Hill here in North Carolina also uses the Ghostery products. And there is a program, University Partners, and here's a little PDF file that you can see about the Ghostery Partnership Program. And some of the universities here in the United States that are partners with Ghostery is the University of Michigan, the University of Iowa, the University of Alabama, the University of Kentucky, Ohio State University, University of Oklahoma, and the University of Connecticut. So as you can see here, even though it has its troubles back in the days, it has now become open source and it's trusted much more than it was. So I wanted to make that little inclusion here because I know that people on YouTube will put about its past. You can use that or read the information here and make a decision for yourself. Now, I put 3 options for installing it on your Linux system. Now, if you go to the GitHub website, you can download the executable files for Windows and the Mac extension for Macs. But if you're on Linux, the easiest way to install it is to click the FlatHub link. If you've got your system set up for FlatHub, just to click the install button. If you don't have your Linux system set up for installing FlatHubs, or flat packs, you can click this guide here for setting up on your system, and then you can manually install it by copying and pasting these commands here in your terminal. But if you've already got it set up, just click the install button and it will install it on your system. Another way is to use the software or Gnome Software Center, as it used to be called, to install it on your system. So I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to type it. I'll go up here and I'll click on the software and let it load. And once it loads, click on the search feature here, or the little search icon, paste it in here, and it will come up. You click on this and it will search for it. You just click this install. If you want to install it for an individual user, select this one, but this will install it where every user that logs onto the system will have access to this particular browser. So this is for the individual user, this is for all the users on your system. So that's another way you can install it. Those are the two easiest ways. The third way, and this is the way that I installed it on my system, is I installed it from a compressed file. So once you compress it, you can click this link here, and I'm going to hit trust. And it starts to download. I'm going to say show and downloads, and I'm going to cancel that, clear the downloads. What it did is it downloaded that particular file from Linux. You can actually go to the browser's website and get the most current version here by downloading it. Choose what language you do. You can choose Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android for different platforms. So you can actually go to their website and download it for a Windows system, Mac system, iOS, and Android. So it is available on Android systems. So if you own an Android or not an iPhone, Android telephone, cell phone, or an Android tablet operating system, you can install it on those as well. Now, I haven't installed it on Android, so I can't give you a review how well it works. But you simply uncompress it, and then it will create a folder. You go into open that terminal, and you run these commands. And I'm not going to go through all of this. I have the illustrated instructions for installing it, and then a way that you can tweak it so that it will open up by putting it in the menu for yourself, and how it will run as executable file. But let me scroll down beyond that point. The first time that you run Ghostery on your system, it will say enable Ghostery, and that's to enable all the add-ons and the ad blockers onto your system. It's not, you don't have to create an account. Now I did, but you don't have to. You can just say enable it, and that will enable the Ghostery add-ons, which, like I said, is the ad blockers on your system. When it's finished, it will say successful setup or successful setup successful, and then it will come up with this particular home page, and it will actually show you more about blocking ads on YouTube. You can learn more about it here, and like I said, there's more information, a lot of information on their website. And as you use it over a period of time, it will then prompt you, do you want to set it as your default web browser, or choose right here, don't show this again, and choose not now. And that's what I did. I don't have it as my default. Anytime I'm using a new browser, I don't immediately set it as my default browser. I like to learn to use it, learn the features of it, and eventually, if I don't like it, I can remove it, or maybe leave it on there as a background browser, so that when I'm creating web pages, I can bring it up in multiple browsers to see what it looks like. So if you can't read that here, I have it zoomed in and screenshotted. You can check the do not show again message and hit not now, and you can always go into the settings later and change it as your default browser if you decide you later do want to set it as your default browser. You can customize the toolbar, because this browser that I'm using here is also a fork of a Firefox. It has very similar features. Like when I right click up here, I can say customize the toolbar. You can do the same thing in most of the forks of Firefox. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing you how you can customize it. Now there is a feature on here. Now it's built-in ad blockers, like I said, it blocks ads on most web pages. One of the ones I went to is I click here, I went straight to YouTube. It did a great job. And then I clicked on the ad blocker icon, which is usually over here. Because it's built into the browser, it's on this side, and I'll show you in just a few moments. And here's a screenshot of it closer in, and you can actually go into the add-on and turn on and off features to enhance, or if you want to allow websites to actually have ads on them, you can go in here and turn off for specific ads or particular websites. Now I don't recommend a lot of extensions to use on it. I don't recommend installing another ad blocker or pop-up blocker because it has those built in it. Too many ad blockers and pop-up blockers can break websites. So the only extensions I recommend is the Bitwarden that saves your passwords, your password manager, maybe sponsor block for YouTube. It's not necessarily blocking ads at the beginning, it's blocking sponsors throughout. And then the malware by browser guard, you might can install that to improve or enhance your security. Now let me actually bring up the Ghostery web browser. I go to Internet and I click onto the Ghostery Private Browser, and in a few moments it will load. Now here again is the sites that you visit most often, or that I visit it most often. So as you can see, my website, the Ghostery Browser search. So if I click this, it will take me straight to their search. I click the home button. The home button's not on here by default, but you can always go in here and right click, customize it, drag the spaces off of it, and add the home button. So if I go to customize toolbar, anything that I don't want on here I can drag down, like the spaces. It will come with a space here and a space over here. I don't like those spaces, so I drug them down here. Then there was a home icon that I drug it up here to put the home back on my bar up here. Now let me show you some things that you normally think this is the ad blocker, but it's not. This is the search button. You click and bring up your search. Here is the ad blocker. So you click on this right here and you can enable it. Now it's not blocking anything on this screen, but if I go like to Google, let me click on something and show you. Let me go to Yahoo, and when I go to click here, it's showing you that it's already blocking ads. As this is loading, it's already blocked 7 ads and counting, as you can see. So it blocks all the ads on Yahoo. So if I click here, as you can see, it's currently blocked 10 ads. 2 were advertising, 2 were sites analytics, 2 were from audio and video players, 1 was the CDN, and 3 of them was unaffiliated. Now I can choose to enable it. All of these are enabled. I can click on these to disable them. I go up here on the menu and I can say become a contributor. I can change some of I did create an account. You don't have to. And that's my email to my junk account. So if you email me there, I won't respond because I don't hardly ever log into that to check any of my emails there. It's not my primary email address. Here's where you report broken a page. So if something's loading or not loading properly, you can go and report it here. Click on that. You can submit a new tracker. You can contact support here if you're having trouble with it. And here's where you go into your settings. Here's where you can turn on and off settings. You can whitelist websites, which I don't have anything currently here. And about who tracks me. This you can turn off who tracks me wheel to turn it off or on depending upon your recommendation. So I'm going to close this out. Now the one thing that I do have to say about this, it's a nice browser. However, one of the things that I dislike about it, and a lot of people may not install it because of that, most Firefox browsers, and let me open up Firefox itself. Once Firefox loads, if I go to settings and click here, notice the tabs that I have on the side. With the Firefox browser, you have more ways of customizing it. You can even customize your home screen. So I can say Firefox Home is the default, and that's fine with me. And the Firefox home page for the new tabs, that's also fine with me. I don't have any trouble with it. So when I click the new tab, it's the Firefox home screen. I don't mind that at all. Now let me go back to the Ghostery. Here's the Ghostery. When I click onto the settings here, it removes the home screen compared. See, look at it. You got home search, you got the general home search, private security sync, and from more from Mozilla. When you actually look at theirs, it's just general search and privacy and security. You can go through in there and you can modify and change a lot of the privacy and securities. So that way you can make it more secure, more private, or less secure. The only thing that you can't modify is your home. As you can see here, and your that's about one of the main things you can't, is your home screen. You're kind of stuck with their screen as the home screen, which in a way, if you think about the olden days when you would download malicious scripts that would change your home screens, this way that if it's locked, it can't change it. So that in a way can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. As you can see, you can control your extensions when you install them by clicking here And enabling disable, you can install additional themes, you can install additional plugins, and it works with the Mozilla add-ons. So if you'd like to install some additional add-ons. So let me show you something else on my website, and then I will end this particular video. If you'd like to read more information about the Ghostery privacy browser links, I do have the GitHub website for the Ghostery browser. I do have its official website, releases, so that you can constantly monitor what's the current new release that's out. You can check issues. If you have trouble with the browser itself, you can post a problem on their issues website. You can get frequently asked questions. You can look over, and you can choose the tabs on the side and get frequently asked questions to and from the creators. You can get additional support by putting in your information here, submitting it for additional support. And here is a blog, the Ghostery blog, that you can read on a lot of different topics to make yourself more aware of the browser product and the other products. And then here's a link to the search that I have at the bottom so that you can test out the search features. So overall, I can't talk about it long term. I haven't been using it long, and I haven't been using it as my primary browser, but I have been using it for about a week. And so far, I do say that it's a decent browser. If you like the forks of Firefox and like to stay away from the Chrome and Chromium-based web browsers, then you may want to give Ghostery a try. You may like it, you may not. I know there's people that's going to probably post negative comments below, but the thing about Linux and any other operating systems is you have choices. You're not just stuck with one particular type of browsers. You have multiple browsers to choose from. Hopefully this video will help someone, and have a great day.